So over WrestleMania weekend, as I've talked about already and others have talked about, WWE dropped a bombshell on WrestleMania Saturday when they announced the acquisition, partnership, if you will, acquisition/partnership with the Lucha Libre promotion, AAA, which was founded basically about 33 years ago in 1992. Now, a lot of people are wondering, okay, what does this mean for AAA? Does this mean AAA is going to become developmental? Is WWE and TKO going to rebrand it NXT Mexico? You know, what is going on? Well, basically from what I've understood, and some information has come out little by little, basically AAA is going to remain themselves. You know, the logo might change, the logo may change and all that, you know, to where it's, you know, representative of what it is now, but it be a little bit more modernized, stuff like that. You know, obviously production is going to be better, the lighting's going to be better and everything. You know, creatively they're going to be better, you know, so on and so forth. But it'll be, outside of all that, it'll be as if nothing really, you know, is different. You know, the ring may change too. The ring may go from 6 sides to 4 sides, but I think WWE is going to keep the 6 side because that will, you know, keep the illusion, or not the illusion, but the identity and distinction of what makes AAA different, you know, from CMLL and any other Mexican promotion in Mexico, like Crash and so on, like Hardcore Mexico and so on, if you know what I mean. So they'll probably keep the 6-sided ring, but what they may do is they may kind of redesign it to where it's still 6 sides, but the ring, you know, like the ring mat isn't hard. It'll be basically like what you get with WWE. That's the only thing, the only aesthetic of that 6-sided ring in Mexico for AAA I think they might change is how, you know, hard the mat is. In other words, they're going to soften the mat. They'll make it like it to what you see with WWE's mats, you know, on NXT, Raw, and SmackDown, and the PLEs. So that's the only thing I think they're going to change, you know, when that's, you know, with the 6-sided ring, outside of, like I say, productions, lighting, creative, you know, the logo being redesigned to probably be identical to what it is now, but more modernized and so on and so forth. But outside of all that, from what I'm understanding, and I'm sure I'm not alone in this, basically, it sounds like, again, nothing, you know, is going to really, you know, change you know, like on screen wise, or when you attend it live in, you know, Mexico City or Tijuana and stuff like that. Nothing's going to feel, you know, too different outside of, like I said, everything that I've mentioned, outside of everything that I've mentioned, you know, that's what I'm understanding. That's what I'm understanding. That basically it's just going to be like an upgrade. It's going to be a bit of a makeover. Things are going to be slightly different, but it'll be basically the same, you know, the same AAA you've gotten before. The only exception is you're going to have on occasions, I should say, integration of WWE main roster and NXT up-and-coming stars, as well as Evolve stars as well. So you're going to see an influx of talent, influx of talent going back and forth, you know, between AAA, WWE, AAA and NXT, AAA and WWE Evolve, and so on. So you see an influx of talent. You know what I mean? To the point that you might, on a AAA show, get Dominic Mysterio, who is the current Intercontinental Champion, You could have, you know, him on a AAA show defending the Intercontinental Championship against Vikingo. You could have that. You could have Psycho Clown, you know, showing up on SmackDown or showing up on NXT or showing up on Raw, and, you know, integrating himself in with, you know, the Wyatt Six, or basically integrating himself against Karrion Kross. If Karrion Kross is still around, his contract's coming up. But I think what we're seeing right now, I think it's, you know, with Karrion Kross on television, I think what we're seeing with him right now, I think he's pretty much going to be staying for the duration. I think maybe he signed something, they're just not letting it out just yet, nor is he. So I think Karrion Kross is going to be fine going forward. But You can have someone like Psycho Clown, who's been seen primarily in AAA, show up, and maybe get into it with Karrion Kross, or maybe align himself, as the Mexican or the Mexico AAA representative of the White Six, the Lucha Libre member of the family and stuff like that. If you want to have the White Six feud once again with American Made down the line, so there are possibilities. There are possibilities, and and all that. I'm trying to find the right words to say. But basically, there are those possibilities. You can see the influx there. And then, of course, you got their events like Triple Mania. And that's another thing, too. If anybody's worried about, what about their pay-per-view events, their PLEs? Are those going to go away? No, they're not going to go away. They're still going to be around. But, again, it's going to be basically a situation to where Triple Mania this year, if it's ran once or twice this year, Triple Mania we'll see an influx of not just standard AAA talent, basically regular AAA talent and everything competing, but you'll also have an influx of WWE talent and NXT talent, NXT Evolve talent. For example, you can have Gunther, if you will, I should say. Walter was the other name he's always gone by, but you can have Gunther show up in AAA Mexico and challenge for the Mega Championship. You could do that. You could have Gunther do that, and what a story that could be. He wins it, but he doesn't want to. But you can have him say, "I'm not going to defend it in this, lower tier country and all that, in front of you peasants and everything." You could have a storyline there to where he'll only defend it in WWE, in a WWE ring, and it'll take somebody like a Vikingo, a Psycho Clown, or whoever to come up and basically take it away from him and bring it back to AAA. You could do that, and it would work. Storyline-wise, creatively, it would work. So there's a lot of possibilities WWE has with this, with this partnership with AAA. There's a lot of possibilities for them. There's a lot of possibilities for the NXT brand, the Evolve brand, as well as AAA itself. I mean, you have the Reina de Reinas Championship. You have the Reina de Reinas Championship, right? Imagine, you're pushing Liv Morgan right now, right? You're pushing Liv Morgan. You're pushing Raquel Rodriguez, who is Latina in her own right. You're pushing them. You're pushing Rhea Ripley. Hold on for a second. Like right now, you have, I'm looking at the wiki page, and they're going to have to basically update this because Alberto El Patron, or Alberto Del Rio, was fired. They released him from his contract, I think, because I guess they don't want to, his history and everything. They don't want him to, be an issue once AAA, is fully acquired. The sale, apparently, according to Wikipedia, is supposed to go through third quarter of this year, if you will. So, yeah, basically that's what's going to be. Hold on for a sec. But, yeah, they're going to have to get the belt off him. They haven't updated that yet, but they're going to have to. But like I said, when you look at the list of championships here, like the Latin American Championship is held by El Mesias, Judas Mesias, Matanza, if you will, from Lucha Underground. Imagine El Mesias, Matanza, under the Matanza persona, showing up and going up against, Jacob Fatu. And you have the Latin American Championship versus the United States Championship. Imagine that. Or imagine basically you're pushing Dominic Mysterio as this, heelish Intercontinental Champion that's going to do whatever it takes to win. And then you say, or let's say, I should say, I'm trying to find the right words to say here. But then let's say you have Adam Pearce being like, enough, I've got a mystery challenger for you next week. And it's somebody that you've never faced before. And believe me, you're going to probably wish you would, something along the lines, I could see Adam Pearce being like, telling Dominic, you're on your own next week against a mystery opponent, and this opponent, win or lose, he's going to make you wish you never won that title. And then that's when we would see, like, say, the debut of Matanza, El Mesias, if you will, Oh no, is it Matanza? No, Matanza was Jeff Cobb, and that's another thing too. Jeff Cobb is in the WWE. You could have him show up as Matanza. That would be great. What was the one Messias did? Oh, Motro, or whatever his name was. Hold on for a second. Mil Murtaras, King Murtaras, Il Murtaras in Lucha Underground. Imagine him showing up to be a mystery opponent for Dominic Mysterio if, we were to do something like that. And let's say Dominic gets counted out because he has to go on his own, but he retains his title. I could see storyline-wise them doing something with Dominic, being like, okay, you think you're good? Okay, next week you're going to face another mystery luchador. Okay, next week you'll face Psycho Clown on your own, and this and that, until finally Dom's like, okay, whoever you want me to face at whatever PLE, I'll face him. And then that's when maybe we'll get the reveal of, you're going to face your father, at Triple Mania for the title. And there you go. There you go. So that could happen too. We don't know. We don't know what the possibilities are going to be, but they are endless, in my opinion, especially when it comes to, now WWE, NXT, WWE Evolve stars challenging for AAA titles, AAA championships, and AAA stars challenging for WWE championships. That's pretty cool. Like, you have the World Cruiserweight title held by Laredo Kid, and that's kind of interesting. And that's kind of interesting because Laredo Kid at times shows up in TNA. And that's good. There's no problem issue there. But there's also times he'll show up for AEW and I think Ring of Honor, which is owned by, Tony Khan as well. So I don't think Laredo Kid's going to be making those appearances anymore. So I can see Laredo Kid putting the title up on the line against, let's say, Chad Gable as El Grande Americano. We could see him defend it, against, let's say, who else do they have on the roster that could, challenge for that championship? Tozawa. They could have Akira Tozawa. So, you got talent, like I say, in NXT, like Javon Evans. You got talent like, Evolve. They got people there. And the various partnerships they're trying to make elsewhere, through the WWE ID program, I mean, the possibilities for, let's say Laredo Kid defending the Cruiserweight Championship is endless. And hey, WWE, people have been wanting a Cruiserweight Championship to be showcased on WWE television once again for a long time. Guess what? This partnership is going to allow that to happen. And when that happens, that might encourage WWE to, reinstate or resurrect the Cruiserweight Championships themselves. And then you got the World Tag Team Championships over there. You got Nirvana Generico Demente. Let me see what that means. It's basically two new second generation stars and everything. Essentially, they're like the new generation Diamante, the sons of Sira and Karas. So basically you have the Nirvana Diamante. They're the World Tag Team Champions. Imagine them defending against the New Day. Imagine that. New Day wants to say they're the greatest tag team in the world. They have the World Tag Team Championships. Why not push the New Day towards saying, hey, we want to be the AAA Tag Team Champs. There you go. There you go. That could be interesting. Imagine that. Imagine that, if you will. So that could work. And you got like Pango. I think that's the Psycho Clown. Yeah, that's who it is. Pangingo and all that. So Pango, if you will. He would be interesting to see. And then you got a mixed tag team title as well. You got, the mixed tag team championships. Hey, Dominic and Liv, mixed tag team champions. Montez Ford, Bianca Belair, mixed tag team champs. I'm just saying. And you have Alejandra, Alexander Bazadino. You can have him and Mr. Iguana. I mean, come on, just saying. Just saying. And then what else do we have? We got the World Trios Championships for them. You have Los Psycho Circus, Dave the Clown, Murder Clown, and Panic Clown. Imagine them going up against Judgment Day, against the Wyatt Six, against American Made, which is represented by not Grande Americano, but his alter ego, let's play it like that, Chad Gable and the Creeds. I mean, possibilities are endless. And then in NXT, you have Dark State as well. You have this new group led by Sean Spears and everything. You got whatever going on with Stacks, with the Stacks guy. I mean, come on, possibilities are endless as to what could be. And then you have the Reines de Reinas Championship, the AAA Reines de Reinas Championship, held by Lady Flama. And basically, you could have Flama defend on WWE television, NXT television, Evolve. You could have her defend against all kinds of talent on the women's division. And on top of that, this also opens the door for the women's division of WWE on both Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Evolve, to have an influx of women talent from AAA. I mean, imagine Lady Flama showing up in NXT and looking Stephanie Valkyr face-to-face saying title for title at the next NXT event. NXT PLE, that is. Imagine that happening. The possibilities, my friends, the possibilities are endless. Now, there are going to be some, situations, some exceptional situations, I should say. Yeah, there's going to be, situations. There is no doubt. There's no doubt about about that. Sorry about that. But like I said, there's going to be no doubt. There's going to be no doubt about that. So it's pretty cool. And what's interesting about this, again, you have, let's see, you got this whole roster of talent from them, like Aerostar. Oh my goodness. Imagine him in the ring with Dragon Lee or Ray Phoenix again. Whoo! Chessman. You have, let's say, Dragon Bane. You have Dr. Wagner Jr. Like I said, Valkingo. Macias, I should say. You have Fostro, which is part of the tag team champs over there. Laredo Kid, Mr. Iguana, Murder Clown, like I mentioned. Mysteries Jr., which, by the way, if that's who I think it is, Mysteries Jr., if it's who I think it is, and it's not, unfortunately, I thought it was the same name. I think he got that name from something else. Imagine Mysterious Jr. showing up and basically in WWE taking on the mantle of being the new Sin Cara. Imagine that. You could get a return of Sin Cara by a person that shared the same, that basically is the junior version of the guy they originally had. Then you got Octagon Jr., you got Caris, if you will, Jose Caris Ruiz. You have Nino Hamburgueses. I can't pronounce some of these names. I do apologize. Like I said, Octagon Jr., Panic Clown, Pangino, La Paca Negra, Penelope Escara, Psycho Clown, Raptor, Sanson, Sam Adonis, if you will, Ultimo Matido or something. I can't pronounce that name. And then the female roster is not big, but that's why you have this partnership going. You have Chica Tormenta, Dallas, Estrella, Flama, who's the Reina Tornado's champion, Le Hydra, the one half of the mixed tag team champs, Maravilla, Lady Maravilla, Lady Shannon, or Lady Shana, and then Reina Dorada, so that's pretty cool. And then you got the mini wrestlers as well, so that's pretty cool. and everything. So it's going to be, really interesting. And oh, what about this? Look who's commentating. Okay, so talk about a reunion. Hugo Savinovich, play-by-play commentator on Twitch. Guess what? He's back under the WWE umbrella now, as of right now. You have Manuel Golin, who's play-by-play on Twitch. And then Matt Striker. Matt Striker's going to be back, apparently. He's English lead commentator on AAA and pay-per-views. And you got Roberto Frangingo, who's the play-by-play commentator. Excuse me. Play-by-play commentator for the show on Canal 6. On Canal 6, if you will. So, yeah, basically, this is interesting. And again, they have partnerships with WWE, in particular the NXT brand, but the main roster as well, TNA, and National Wrestling Alliance. And that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So this is a big deal. And like I said, the possibilities are endless, to say the least. They are endless, to no ends, in my opinion. I mean, when you get down to it, again, I do apologize for butchering some of those names. I mean, I'm half Latino myself, so you think I would get them, but I don't. But imagine all of those talents, not just in next year's Royal Rumble, but imagine maybe we have a Team WWE versus Team AAA Survivor Series match. That would be interesting. You never could expect something like that in the past under Vince McMahon, but now you're going to get it. Or imagine nothing but a AAA Survivor Series match. Just saying. I know I'm repeating myself saying this word a lot, but again, it's true. Possibilities are so endless that I cannot imagine, what you could have influx-wise as well. And you have talents under WWE contract currently that have had experience in AAA. They know what it's about. They know what it takes to basically, wrestle and compete in that style. Penta, Rey Fenix, Dragon Lee, Rey Mysterio. Dominic, I'm sure, has had time there to learn that style. I mean, come on, the possibilities are endless. And storyline-wise, you got this thing going on with El Grande Americano. Imagine the pop they could get if they want to drag this out to Triple Mania, where it's like, let's say it's someone like Valkingo or Pangon. I think Pangon is his name, the clown, the hardcore clown. Imagine one of them, or let's say, El Mesias, or maybe as King Murtres or El Mil Murtres, going up against El Grande Americano, mask for mask. And El Grande loses, and in front of the world at AAA, he has to unmask and reveal that, yes, he is Chad Gable. Imagine how you could build from that. And if he and American Made are still on Raw at that time, imagine the interaction with him and Adam Pearce. And again, it could lead to what I feel is the real reason. That he feels, that being Chad Gable, that the only way he's going to get noticed is to be a luchador himself, because, Adam Pearce won't give him what he wants. And obviously Adam will realize, oh, you just want another shot at the Intercontinental title. And Chad will be like, yeah. So that would probably lead to Chad getting the championship finally, because Adam Pearce will be like, fine, it's your last opportunity, but after that, I don't want no more excuses. I don't want you disguising yourself anymore. I want you to just drop this pursuit. And then that's when Chad would win. So I could see it all leading to something like that if they go that route. Then they might decide to hold it off. Then they might decide to just, bring it to a conclusion. They might decide to bring it to a conclusion, at Worlds Collide in June, which is good if you want to, because then you could use that summer to have Chad not only become Intercontinental Champion against either Dominic or whoever, but you can have Chad then decide he's not going to defend it. You can have Chad storyline-wise being like, yeah, I'll defend this title, but not against luchadors. He said, not unless they wrestle and know high flying. So I could see that. I could see that potentially happening. I mean, again, all the potential possibilities because of this partnership now, not just, not just for AAA, from production, creative, a redesigned, modernized version of the logo, which is still, similar, pays homage to the original currently, or the current one in the original, but is more modernized. Not just a redesign on the mat to keep the six-sided ring, but make the mat more, less, hard to land on and stuff. But again, outside of all that, bigger production, everything, the storyline, the interactions, the crossovers, everything is just unlimited here. It's just unlimited. And if you think this is the end, it's not. I mean, look, we might be angry with The Rock for not, showing up at WrestleMania and screwing it up. Dave LaGrecia and JD and Vince Russo have all let that be known. I've given my thoughts, everybody else has given their thoughts. But Rock was wearing a New Japan t-shirt a few days ago. And he was looking at a Rubik's Cube, trying to solve it. And, people were wondering, okay, what does that mean? What does this mean? Outside of, Rock, again, outside of us not being happy that he didn't show at WrestleMania to help maybe make that main event on night 2 good, at least satisfactory. The other thing that Rock got people talking about was that little moment. With him wearing the New Japan shirt and the Rubik's Cube. Not wearing the Rubik's Cube, but he was wearing the New Japan shirt and trying to solve the Rubik's Cube. And everybody knows that's played with the Rubik's Cube knows that, it takes time to figure out how to, master it and basically match up the colors on all sides of that little game, of that little puzzle. So to me and anybody else, WWE's not done, making partnerships with other companies outside of the States. They have a partnership with Pro Wrestling Noah. Noah has a partnership with New Japan, under this new, whatever it is, this new union thing they're doing in Japan. They have a partnership with New Japan and All Japan. So it's nothing really, new in a sense for WWE to want to look at acquiring new partners, acquiring maybe a bit of revenue, a stake in the company to help keep it going and make it better. And Rock obviously is being an integral part in that. But again, what does it mean with the Rubik's Cube, right? What does it mean? Well, again, with the Rubik's Cube, you try to figure out how to, solve it and try to match up all the colors. That, to me, is symbolism that what Rock's trying to do on behalf of not just himself, but WWE, TKO, and Endeavor, he's trying to solve a way to make a partnership with New Japan, sort of a semi-acquisition, put some stake into them like they did with AAA. Like they did with AAA. Again, AAA is acquired. They're pretty much under the WWE TKO umbrella, but they're going to be still the same. Again, all the things that I mentioned, those are the only things that are going to change. You're going to get an upgrade in production, creative. The logo is going to get modernized, but pay homage to the original or the current one. You're going to get all that. The ring, the mat for the six-sided ring is going to be a little bit more safer. You're going to get all that. All that's going to happen. There's no doubt. But again, WWE is still looking. And they will acquire whoever they have to acquire, even through a semi-acquireship or a partnership where basically they will finance the other company to be a success. And New Japan is one of the bigger companies in Japan. They are essentially the WWE, if you will, of Japan. And so for Rock to kind of put that video out there and get people talking, I think what he's doing by trying to solve that Rubik's Cube, trying to solve the puzzle, is he's basically sending a message of, hey, I want to get and Triple H and Ari Emanuel, Nick Khan, we want to get New Japan to partner with us as well. We want to help them out as well financially, but I got to figure out how to get around the partnership they have with AEW. See, that's what I think that Rubik's Cube is. It's him trying to piece together, trying to solve the puzzle of how to get around the partnership they currently have with All Elite Wrestling. Because Tony Khan probably saw this video himself, and he's probably thinking the same thing, like, especially after the announcement of WWE and AAA's, partnership, acquirementship, whatever. You can't tell me that Tony Khan doesn't see that, and he's not thinking, he sees that and not thinking after, especially this past weekend, thinking, those SOBs, they're trying to take New Japan away from me now. You can't tell me he's not thinking that, because he is. He is thinking to himself, they're trying to take New Japan's partnership away from me by trying to acquire them or purchase them in the same way they've done with AAA. You can't tell me he's not thinking that, because he is. And that's why, basically Rock put that video out, because he not only wants Tony Khan to see it, him, Triple H, Nick Khan, they don't only want, Tony Khan to see it. He wants everybody to see it, because they want people to know and realize that they're not done. They're not done. This AAA thing, it's just the start. The pro wrestling thing, the partnership with Pro Wrestling Noah and All Japan, that's just the start. Internationally, there's more to go. I mean, you also got the UK. They got partnerships with the UK, sort of, still. I think they got a partnership with IWC, if that's still going. Like a partnership with Progress. You can't tell me that they would not like to have a partnership with REV-PRO. REV-PRO currently has something going on with AEW. Not totally, but something. So you can't tell me they wouldn't want to try to make a partnership full on with REV-PRO. Because that's obviously what's going to happen. New Japan is on the clock for AEW, for WWE, I should say, to try to finalize something with them. They are on the clock. And, I do agree with Jason Solomon, with the Solomonster, and what he said in a video. He said basically that he believes that before this year is out, New Japan will be acquired in the same way that AAA was. And you know what? I don't disagree with him. I don't disagree with him. I think it will happen. And don't be surprised if New Year's 2026, the first Raw on Netflix for 2026, you get that announcement. Don't be surprised. Nor don't be surprised come 2026 if there's an announcement that WWE is now starting a partnership with REV-PRO. Don't be surprised. Do not be surprised. It's going to happen. Because here's the thing. JD from NY206 said it best. WWE, not WWE, but AEW, Tony Khan, poked the bear too much during the first several years that it's coming back to bite them. And despite how you feel about, AAA, or Triple H, I should say, in his booking, despite what you might think about that, despite how you feel about what happened on Sunday, outside of all that, you know that Triple H, Nick Khan, Ari Emanuel, Mark Shapiro, the whole Endeavor, TKO, WWE regime are not someone to mess with, and that sooner or later they are the kind of people, they are the kind of group of people that will come back and basically make you regret poking them in the way you did. And that's what's happening. That's what's happening. Tony Khan, seeing that video, like the rest of us did, of Rock trying to solve that Rubik's Cube while wearing a New Japan Pro Wrestling shirt. Again, you can't tell me, especially after the announcement of the AAA deal this past weekend, you can't tell me he's not looking at that and thinking the same things we are, that basically WWE is trying to take away his partnership, his company's partnership with New Japan. Because he is. And I guarantee you, if he's mentioned that to some people he's working with in AEW, I bet you some people are telling him the same thing, JD has said and everybody else has said. They're telling him, Tony, you brought this on yourself because you decided to poke the bear. Now you're paying for it. And I think that's why you haven't seen Tony, so lively when it comes to being online, like social media and stuff. This is why you've not seen it as much. This is why you haven't seen, many, shots taken at times. I mean, there's still shots taken, don't get me wrong. Just look at what Nick Khan said over this past, last week during the WrestleMania PR. But anyway, you notice that TK hasn't taken that many shots because now I think it's getting through his head finally like, oh, if I keep doing this crap, I'm not gonna have anything left, as far as partners go, nor will I have a TV deal. So that's why you're not seeing it as much, in my opinion. But honestly, we know he's thinking that same thing as we are. And again, don't be surprised that if what Solomonster has said is true. Don't be surprised if you hear a deal happening between New Japan and WWE before this year's out. Don't be surprised by that. Nor don't be surprised that once you hear that announcement happen, maybe on the last Raw of the new year, or the last Raw of 2025, or the first Raw of 2026, don't be surprised if you hear that deal coming together, becoming finalized and everything, later on in the year, or a certain quarter of the year. But don't be surprised that afterwards you start hearing rumblings of WWE wanting to partner with REV-PRO, which is the biggest, as far as I know, UK-based promotion in the United Kingdom. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. But yeah, as far as the AAA WWE thing goes, I said it before, I'll say it again, possibilities are endless, creatively, storyline-wise, talent exchange-wise, crossover-wise. It's all endless in the possibilities. Outside of, the upgrade in production, the redesign of the logo to be somewhat similar to what we see now, but also modernized, to even the mat of the six-sided ring will be changed up to be more safer for the athletes to fall on. So outside of all of that, creatively and everything else, it's all unlimited. It is limitless, period, when it comes to what we could, gain here. And again, if you think this is the end, it's not. You take what Rock did on Instagram with that video, and again, don't be surprised that at the end of this year, on the last Raw of 2025 or the first Raw of 2026, you get that kind of an announcement, of New Japan and WWE partnering. And don't be surprised if after New Japan, REV-PRO is next. Don't be surprised. But give me your thoughts overall, guys, on all the endless possibilities outside of the upgrade in production, redesign of the logo to be similar to what it is now, but also modernized, and the ring mat being, redesigned to be safer, but still keeping the six-sided identity for the company. Let me know what your thoughts are on all the possibilities, match-wise, exchange-wise, talent-wise, and all that. What do you think could happen here in the near future? Also, let me know if you believe that what The Rock did in that video, wearing the New Japan shirt and the Rubik's Cube, is his way of trying to solve that puzzle to get around the partnership that New Japan has with AEW, to have them partner with them, and maybe through a not a full acquisition like AAA, but a semi-acquisition to help them out financially. And do you think once that happens, we could get an announcement on the last Raw of 2025 or the first Raw of 2026? And do you think even after New Japan's situation happens, if it does, and it looks like very strongly it will, do you think WWE would try to get something going with REV-PRO? Let me know down below in the comment section as well as in the live chat during the premiere. Like the video, ring the bell for notification, subscribe to the channel. Also, click on the links in the description to find my content elsewhere. You can find me at all your favorite audio and video podcast affiliates like iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora, Audible from Amazon, Radio Public, Overcast. Wherever there's a podcast, you will find mine there. Also, you guys can find me over at twitch.tv and kick.com. You can find me also at patreon.com at BWRoses. You can find me at VENMO.com at BWRoses, Odyssey.com at BWRoses-5. You can also find me at Rumble.com at BWRoses. You can also find me at Deviantart.com at BVW1979. You can also find me, ladies and gentlemen, over at inkbunny.net at BWRoses. And also, you can follow me at TikTok at BWRoses. You can find me at Twitter, aka X.com, at BWRoses. You can also find me at Blue Sky at BWRoses. And also, guys, check out the Teespring store for merchandise you can't get anywhere else. And until the next time, again, let me know how you feel about this. And until then, I am out. Take care. God bless.